Wait, did someone say that Bronny James is the number one pick now? Well, according to MGM Sportsbooks, Bronny is currently the most bet-on player to be taken with the number one pick. Unfortunately for these hopeful bettors, they have more chance of winning the actual lottery than pulling this gamble off. There is practically no chance that Bronny will end up being the number one pick in the 2024 NBA draft. But his recent rise in draft stock is nothing to scoff at, overcoming comparisons all his life. And more recently, a cardiac arrest. Bronny James' willpower is often overlooked. That is exactly why he could turn out to be a much better player than most people believe. In fact, it's no longer a question of if, but when Bronny will be drafted. Bronny James has lived his entire life under the intense scrutiny of the public eye. He was thrust into the limelight from a young age, with every move he made on and off the basketball court meticulously documented by the media. It's a given though, growing up as the first son of one of the greatest basketball players in history, he faced constant comparisons to his father, LeBron, whose larger-than-life legacy loomed large over his budding career. Despite the pressure, Bronny showed a natural aptitude for basketball, eventually playing for Sierra Canyon High School, where his games attracted nationwide attention. The spotlight brought immense expectations, and he delivered, of course, fueling more comparisons to his father. Bronny's high school career showcased his potential, although to some point, the weight of expectation often overshadowed his achievements. In his final season of high school basketball, Bronny averaged 14 points, 5.5 rebounds, over 2 assists, and 2 steals per game. He was named to the McDonald's All-American game, finishing with 15 points while shooting 5 for 8 from three-point range. You'd think it would be smooth sailing for the young athlete, but his journey took a dramatic turn when he was diagnosed with a heart condition that prematurely ended his college career. Following a USC practice in July 2023, Bronny James, who was 19 years old at the time, had a cardiac arrest and spent 3 days in Los Angeles under hospitalization. He then went on to have surgery for a congenital cardiac problem. Thankfully, the surgery was a complete success, and he has recovered well since. But it was still a big asterisk that was looming over his fitness. This setback led many to question his future in basketball, as the condition posed a significant risk to his health and playing aspirations. Well, that doesn't look like it's the case, as just a year later, it seems he's good to go. Following the NBA draft combine, Bronny James has made sure most people see him differently. Those who kept tabs on his basketball career in high school knew he was a great player, but with little collegiate experience, most never expected him to try at the combine after just 1 season with the Trojans. And the outcome was surprising. And that brings us to what we know now. Ben Fawkes, a sports gambling writer, reports that at MGM Sportsbooks, USC guard Bronny James is currently the most bet player to be taken with the first overall selection by the Atlanta Hawks in the NBA draft. It is not an overwhelming majority, as Bronny represents only 2.4% of all the money staked on which player will go number 1 overall. In contrast, French star Alexander Sarr accounted for 81.4% of all money gambled, so people are more confident that Alexander Sarr will go number 1 as there is more money on him. But there are more bets on Bronny to go number 1. It's easy to see why someone might want to make a profit on a wager on Bronny James, but the reasoning is flawed. Right now, he is a 4.8 point per game scorer, which is not very good, and let's be real, he's not going to go number 1 overall. Rissecher, Sarr, Shepard, Klingon, and Holland are among the big names that are far closer to that title. James ranks clearly as a second-round choice, or possibly even undrafted if picked on skill and performances alone. However, Bronny is not being picked based only on his collegiate season. As unfair as it might sound, he is also being picked based on bloodline. LeBron has expressed his desire to play in the NBA with his boys for years, even negotiating a contract that ensured he had the mobility to join whichever club chose Bronny. Now that Bronny's draft process has started, LeBron's camp is rebuffing such speculation. This makes perfect sense if their goal is to ensure Bronny goes to the Lakers in the second round, where they own the number 55 selection. Rivals will see picking Bronny as a means of luring LeBron into free agency otherwise. Imagine a franchise like the Utah Jazz, with executive Danny Ainge, who is apparently interested in Bronny. Utah has picks 10, 29, and 32, and could easily use one of their later choices on Bronny. Then there's the Boston Celtics. They have the number 54 selection, 1 place ahead of the Lakers at number 55. Should Bronny still be on the board, Would the Celtics choose him only to target their long-standing rival and possibly lure LeBron away? The Cleveland Cavaliers can choose to pick Bronny at number 20, and don't forget the Knicks franchise that might still want to see LeBron call the Garden home someday. They have picks number 24, 35, and 38. In the end, all this might motivate the Lakers to move up to get Bronny way earlier, instead of waiting for him to fall to number 55. Still, betting on Bronny to go before the 55th pick makes sense. He is, without a doubt, the most interesting story in the draft. We know what you're thinking.
Oh, Lord. You know what I'm thinking?
Of course, none of this is fair. Bronny should be judged on his own ability and merits, not his father's. But even the slightest opportunity to lure one of the game's greatest players of all time over to your club is a rare chance to pass up on for a lot of teams. This might perhaps be one of the rare drafts when the conclusion of the first round's events is more intriguing than the beginning. Count on someone choosing Bronny sooner than anticipated. Just resist the temptation to throw money away on him finishing first overall. Bronny James has simply been a topic of extensive discussion amongst basketball scouts and analysts, but most of them rarely talk about the important features of Bronny. Standing at 6'1", with a 6'7" wingspan and weighing 190 pounds, Bronny has shown promise as a versatile guard with a high basketball IQ. His defensive skills are particularly noteworthy, drawing comparisons to players like Drew Holiday and Davion Mitchell due to his tenacity and ability to guard multiple positions. However, only a small number of NBA players have reached the league with that height in past times. They have to be extraordinary ball handlers who are quick and have a good max vertical. Talking about max vertical, Bronny was 4th highest overall at the Combine, recording a 40.5-inch vert. He also hit 12 consecutive baskets from deep, making 19 out of 25 three-point tries. Those figures alone have transformed the impression of him as he made this gamble under such pressure. Offensively, Bronny has displayed flashes of playmaking ability, a decent shooting touch, and the athleticism to finish at the rim, although he has yet to fully develop into a dominant scorer. The question of whether Bronny might get drafted is particularly answered already, yes, but it creates newer and more important questions. Some analysts project him as a late second-round pick, considering the uncertainties surrounding his health and limited college experience. However, there's the all-important wildcard factor at play, LeBron James, a factor we have never seen before, as no player has ever played with their son at the same time. LeBron has expressed a desire to play alongside his son in the NBA, which could significantly influence Bronny's draft position. Teams might be willing to take a chance on Bronny earlier than his scouting report alone would justify, just for the possibility of acquiring LeBron as well. This unique situation means Bronny could realistically be selected anywhere from the late second round to even the first round, depending on how teams value the potential of bringing both the king and the prince onto their roster. Teams like the Golden State Warriors and the Dallas Mavericks, looking to bolster their lineups and gain a marketing edge, might find this prospect particularly appealing. Ultimately, Bronny's draft position will be a fascinating thing to watch. Where would you bet on him being picked? If you like keeping up with basketball's young stars, then you'll love what we have in store for you. Join us next time as we look at another up-and-coming NBA wonder kid.
Lots of contact, no call. Here we go, Bronny for